poem is called Carrying Light, and it was in Poetry Pause for the League and got put up Canada-wide this year. In the blackness, I struck a match. A lone spark illuminated all I couldn't see. I had forgotten the wonder written across the obsidian sky, or the sound of your breath rocking my worries to sleep through this December night. I have gathered you to my breast, a clutch of snowdrops, shining white and small against the infinite band of velvet stretched taut above us, holding our love on the glittering blade of a knife. Most of my poems I write a prompt for. For the last 5 or 6 books, I've written a prompt for each poem, and then I've seen where that's taken me. This prompt for this poem was, write a poem with 3 lines per stanza, with first and third lines rhyming, and the second line rhyming with the second line in the next verse, and it must be about nature. Leaning Moon. I sat on logs between sand and sea, watched the blazing sun expire. Contentment filled me like a rusty key as the shadows lengthened in the eve. The trees already filled with fire. Its only sacrifice. One must believe the beach was eaten by the darkness, the water died, the pebbles black, leaving small impressions as their mark. The sound and pull of tides recurring, leaning full moon on my back. The wind picked up and hurried on, circled the banded sky. Silver paint was in your fingers, throwing stones. You scattered them like drops of rain. Flotsam now is treasure. The day turns to deepest night, flesh to bones and earth to earth. So it burns within me, the moon that carries hope of one more day to cherish. Relief before you leave this place. Soap can't cleanse me more than now. Washed by light, our spirits meet. Moon and ocean conspire and vow to help us listen within our core to sky and waves and sand and shore. The crux. There was a time when I couldn't have what I wanted, which was you. Always you, the deepest marrow of you. My heart flew low with no clear direction. Just my crushing need to bow, to bend, to lean into the very crux of you. Ah, so quiet here tonight. The cuckoo clock ticks, and I measure the minutes with silence. Someone has stolen my voice. I whisper for water, and you bring cups of weak tea. More than I ever asked for. You, my tea, my need. And the prompt for this one was right about a sporting event, and this is as close as you'll ever hear me do a sporting event, believe me. The one that got away. The flick of the line and the whir of the reel alerted me to incoming fish. My dad puffed on his pipe, chuckled and said, "We've got this one, sweetie, we've got this one." And I, to the best of my ability, panicked and stood up in the red swaying 12-foot boat, just as the poor trout was dancing its way quickly towards me and my open scream of a mouth. The boat started to rock, and my dad tried to net the trophy that had eluded him that evening. I shrieked, started to jump, St. Vitus's dance rocking and rolling. Then we flipped. My father furiously tread water and watched the parade of fishing gear sink with the boat. I saved his pipe and teeth. Blaze of the Universe. And this is based on Mozart. Many of you know that Mozart wrote Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and many, many variations on it. And this is based on that. Did Mozart know he was writing music that would put my babies to sleep? Did he see the light glaze pass over their faces as they heard the soft tinkle of bells, hidden in Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, me humming soft as down this refrain over and over? They suckled, bluest of blue eyes, closing with each breath. I chanted the ending. How I wonder what you are. I could feel the peace swelling in the room, violins and piano, and you, Amadeus, jubilant, playing complex patterns and ellipses, knowing this was the last dance. You played for royalty and for all the sleepless children to come. They lay still in their mother's arms. They didn't cry, but dreamed of the holy blaze of the universe. The prompt I gave myself was Grandma's kitchen, and it came out like this. Her tiny frame was perched on the blue wooden stool in the kitchen, small, delicate, with auburn hair so long it touched the floor. She wore it in a braid. It was her only vanity, besides her garden and her relationship with God. Sometimes she would let me singe her split ends with a match. Faster, she'd say, as the acrid smell filled the kitchen. She taught my mother before me, who was glad to relinquish the job. The thrill of the mad flick of the wrist got to be too much for her, but it all felt sacrificial and sacred to me. Very nice, she'd praise as she twisted round to look in the mirror. Small wisps of ash was the only trace left from the ritual. She was cleansed and softened, which was when I loved her the best. I used to do a lot of hiking, and one of my favorite hikes was Black Tusk, and that's the name of this poem. Firstly, now that you're here, exactly here, let me show you the way to climb mountains in the freshening air. Don't look back, press yourself into the thrust of it, the rake and the climb of it. Follow the trail, see the foxglove and lupins pin the earth to the sky. Breathe in the sweet fragrance of low bush blueberries and moss. Old man's beard drapes the limbs of the stunted trees. Look up and up again to the peaks, which are surrounded with a sweep of gray scree. Purple-hued fireweed sings out your name as it encircles the mountain with a necklace of pearls. How do you pack your life into a poem that you know will end badly? Words try to button down the essence of your journey, but they miss the scent of oranges or the beating fontanelle of a newborn's head. How do you know the very word you choose for the ending will be the same as for the hot spark of universal beginnings? My poem contains me in its magnificent simplicity. It is a repeated mantra. Choose love. The pause. Officially the night comes and we entwine around each other. We're deep-rooted trees, still strong in these currents of change and unfamiliarity. We bend toward each other quietly. A touch is given. The world shrinks to a whisper in the glorious moonlit silence we have been given. It's hard to relinquish the grip I have on my little life. How do I say goodbye to sunsets and the extravagance of a floribunda rose, the sweet, clear voice of my daughter, or the strong, caring words of my son? My sweetheart's kisses and whispered longing, the brace of the ocean wind, or the closing of an infant's eyes. I only know that goodbye erases beginnings, and what lingers is the husk of memory. Do not say goodbye, but remember me striding forward, back straight, eyes tilted towards the horizon, the enigma of life on my tongue. The birds circled round the children, witnesses to the sorrow given out like bread. They saw their sparks flicker and die, and cried for all the empty arms and love not yet given. This deep seam of loss is filled with filth and lies. They are pointing the way to the recognition of the small child, unable to be heard above this pious sanctity that chained them to this unholy ground. Little one, you call from the earth a strange and terrible song. The hard white light of remembering will bleach every bone. And my last poem is called Hushaby. Hushaby, don't you cry. Go to sleepy little baby. When you wake, you shall have all the pretty little horses. Who sings for the wronged and forgotten? The child in the bunker, shielded by mothers and aunties. Bombs are the lullabies that little eyes flutter to. They know nothing about the warm, giving skin of their mama's breast. The whispered prayers of a nation unbowed becomes their future. New skin, still dewy, from sleep settles in arms, love sick and torn. The world watches and waits, hoping for a different ending. No one will forget. No one will forgive. The babe still dreams of milk and the tender touch of new beginnings. Thank you very much.